Our first guest is Mr. Troy Clymer. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Solar Integrated Roofing Corporation. SIRC is a stock symbol. Troy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Don, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Now, you guys have got to be pretty happy about the Inflation Reduction Act. Tell us about the plan of action you have for maximizing and stepping into this boom that's been created.
Great question. We just last week had our entire senior executive team together in Las Vegas for our biannual strategy summit. Could not be more timely to see this legislation come out of Washington, D.C. So we've got a specific step-by-step plan of action to increase revenue, reduce expenses, and improve customer service across each of our divisions of the company. This is going to create a boom for our industry. So as we look at that and went through those plans at our meetings where we had Dave Massey, our CEO, me, Wanda Witoslawski, our CFO, our entire vice president divisional leadership team, as well as some of our management consultants, we came together at these meetings, which coincided so nicely with the recent news out of Washington, D.C. This is especially true in every business space, that the only constant is change, but especially right now in the alternative energy space. Our overall vision of aggressive expansion plans are adjusted along the way to adapt for this change. So we like it when changes are accretive. That this new legislation is going to dramatically enhance our ability to execute on our plans, especially in the areas of energy storage and microgrids. Our commercial side of our business is growing so rapidly. We talked about that a little bit yesterday on a Discord that we did with our shareholders. We've recently added some new strategic partnerships that have brought some exciting development opportunities to our growing pipeline. So we talked a little bit about this, Dave and I, and we've had a current opportunity backlog of about $3 billion on the commercial side in our microgrid for complex projects from multiple parties whom are interested in doing business with SIRC. This is projects that are now even more viable with this recent legislation tailwind. So we feel more than ever well positioned to turn this opportunity, because on the commercial side, one project leads to many, whether it's business to ag, large commercial buildings, even as we get into business to government. We talk about that in a moment with our GSA. But so as we look at that positioning that we have, the opportunity for us to convert this pipeline backlog of opportunities into revenue over the coming years through this legislation has never been brighter for SIRC and our shareholders. So this is not revenue that's going to land this year, next year, but it's a pipeline of opportunities over many years as we take advantage of the ITC and what it means for SIRC.
Well, now, do you have relationships with government entities or programs that let you jump into this with both feet running?
Due in large part to the strategic acquisitions that we made over the last 2 years. Dave Massey's a great visionary. And so the acquisition of Plemco and Balance, brought a lot of opportunities to SIRC to get involved in energy planning and alternative energy infrastructure. So now that we have this legislation passed and this amazing tailwind, we're able to capitalize on projects in municipal, government, tribal, and nonprofit organizations. These are organizations that will now be able to benefit from the direct pay provision of the ITC for entities like theirs who may have otherwise only been interfacing with us for EV charging or roofing or simple solar services. So because we're one of 16 entities with a blanket GSA agreement, we're very well positioned to capitalize on high growth commercial opportunities. And like I said before, they're a one-to-many situation where, the Mojave Farms business to ag opportunity that we've press released is a good example. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday in our shareholder Discord. It could potentially open us up to, a plethora of opportunities, not just in the US, but internationally. And so this is a situation where we're currently re-examining everything we do, every commercial project that we have in our pipeline, and seeing, how we can better approach it to maximize value for our customers, value for our shareholders, and to drive revenue and growth for SIRC.
Can you provide a couple of examples how you have in the past, or maybe you're currently doing this already, where you've taken advantage of government incentives?
Yeah, so this is a wonderful question. So as we're moving forward, in the past, many of the buying decisions made by our residential customers have been driven by their ability to realize cash value available tax incentives. So those can account for, 40 to 50% or more of the retail cost of the system, right? So a homeowner that's looking to put solar on their house, right? But those incentives had been reduced from previous levels over the last couple of years. So without any intervening circumstances, we're headed towards further significant reductions for commercial systems and elimination of the residential systems by the end of 2024. So this has changed now. So today and moving forward, we're offering, and I'll now be able to significantly expand upon our offering of popular, like third-party owned strategies for commercial, industrial, and microgrid alternative energy systems that empower property owners to realize increased net operating income, which drives up their property value without having to come out of pocket for the significant upfront expense. So that's been something everybody thinks about. Like, what is the upfront expense to me for the integration of this infrastructure into my project? So this greatly enables the removal of that obstacle. So we're working closely with our investment partners because they also want to benefit from all available tax incentives, associated with the ownership of the alternative energy systems to cover the upfront costs using a combination of equity, debt. This results in cash flow positive long-term infrastructure investment that's able to yield direct benefits to the host as compared to their current situation. So like I said before, this has caused us to go back and review every single commercial project that we've undertaken. And this enables these projects, some of which might have been stuck in our pipeline because of this upfront investment or looking at project funding, to become even more viable now moving forward.
Well, we've watched the company grow dramatically over the years. We've been covering you. We've seen a lot of growth through acquisition. What's being done and what has been done to consolidate these subsidiaries now?
Well, this is right up my alley. So thanks for asking this question. I've got to reference my notes on some of the trickier questions because, we're still pouring through this legislation bill. So I worked really closely with Brad Reinhardt and Joe Loud, who joined me on the Discord last night to make sure I had good notes on that. But when you talk about consolidating our subsidiaries, you and I have discussed this on the last 3 MoneyTV episodes that I've been on. So we've been in about a 14-month, what I would call growth through consolidation and organic revenue. The consolidation of our divisions from the individual subsidiaries to an enterprise platform alternative energy conglomerate is very much completed at this point. That doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to use our strong, well-branded companies such as Balance or Future Home Power or Plemco. We want to further develop those brands, just like we want to do with Solar Integrated Roofing Corporation. As we continue to grow, though, these SIRC family of brands are more aligned now into our divisional enterprise structure instead of operating as individual subsidiaries. So this is something that, as a COO, is very important to me as we move through integrating and having a good playbook for future acquisitions that we do. So because of the constant change in growing companies, we're evolving almost ahead of our brand right now. So we're learning how to manage that change and still focus on the 3 core pillars of fundamental business: revenue growth, cost controls, and constant service improvements. That's something that really is the biggest room in the world, that room for improvement in constant service improvements. And it's how we become successful as a high growth business with aggressive value-based operations, which is what we're striving for.
Solar Integrated Roofing Corporation, SIRC, the stock symbol. Troy, always a pleasure, always informative. Thanks so much for joining us.
Don, before we jump, I want to thank you, and I want to give a shout out and thank our wonderful shareholders. So again, today, I'm in our studios at Balance instead of in my office where I usually am. I like people to see, my working office, but I wanted to feature again our shareholder art. This was sent to us by one of our shareholders who goes by the Discord handle, Big Smelly Rocket Man. And so I want to congratulate him on this wonderful art, but I do want to call out for him and our other shareholders, because I know they're going to razz him, that he needs to eradicate this white space here. And I want to see a new print of this Tron Juice Rocket Man art that I can feature on the next MoneyTV without the white space. Because once you see it, Big Smelly Rocket Man, you cannot unsee it.
So noted. Thanks for joining us, Troy.